You got your new rifle, you got your scope mounted up, your trigger work done. Now it's time to take it to the range. First thing we're gonna do is give it a little cleaning to make sure there's no debris and no oil residue left in that barrel. Let's get right to it. All right, got a few simple tools we're gonna run through to make sure your barrel's clean. A lot of the stuff you can just get on Amazon. You don't have to go over the top or over the board with expensive things, but these are kind of the basics that you're gonna wanna have. I'll run through the tools and then I'll give you a close-up of what I'm gonna do here. So first things first, we're gonna make sure our rifle's clear, remove the bolts. Nothing down the barrel, nothing in there. Okay. First tool, not a must-have, but great to have, is a gun vise, just an extra set of hands to hold onto that gun for you. Not required, but very nice to have. Something I do very strongly recommend is a bore guide. You can get these on Amazon or any sporting goods store, I'm sure has them. But you can get one with a universal tip, or you can get one bore specific to your own bore. I think Tipton, Birchwood Casey, Hoppies, there's a whole bunch of brand names that make these. Universal one is fine. Get one that's just big enough to get your bore brush through and your jag through the tip and get that in there. So pretty easy to install. Tip on, put the back end on, and this thing kind of acts like your bolt. And you stick that right into your chamber and kind of push it down right where your bolt goes. Next, of course, you're gonna need cleaning rods. I prefer the 36-inch cleaning rods. I have two here, only because I like to have one with a brush and one is tipped with a jag. Brand new guns, you're probably not gonna need a brush, you'll just need a cleaning jag and some patches and Remington oil, Rem oil, or Hoppies. I like them both. Again, this is a brand new to me in box. I know it's been fired a couple times, but it shouldn't be that dirty, so I'm probably just gonna stick with Rem oil, and that is a cleaner and a lubricator. Helps prevent corrosion. And just in case, not a requirement, but good to have, is these plastic little pick set, not a steel pick set. I prefer plastic. I don't want to gouge any metal that's in the chamber or in the barrel, so avoid any gouging. And that's basically what your bore guide is doing too. It helps guide your jag or your brush through the bore without damaging that chamber where it starts to angle down into the barrel. So, all right, you're going to be pushing stuff through the end of your barrel, so you can have a plate, a bucket. I've seen people put Coke or soda bottles on the end of their barrel. Not really that big a deal, especially on a new gun. Like I said, you're not going to run that brush and push all that material out the end. You're just going to run a jag and a patch with some oil on it. You're just pushing it through and taking that patch off. So, my opinion, for a new gun or one that's not very dirty, who doesn't need the bore brush, just paper plate, napkin, towel, whatever at the end of your gun. Catch any of that residue. So. All right, I'll get a close-up on this. I'll get you guys in here and kind of see what I'm doing and show you how it's done. It's super easy. All right, I'm gonna be cut out of the view for a little bit, but I want you guys to see kind of what's going on, and hopefully I can do my best to capture all of this. But here's a close-up of that bore guide, again with a universal tip, something that's close in diameter to my bore. And the rear part has this little sight port, so when you stick the jag or patch in there, you can dab some oil or Hoppies cleaner on it. And again, this is just the handle that goes where the bolt goes. So you slide it in the back of your chamber here. You'll hit the resistance once it reaches the bore, and just push that down. That keeps it from coming back and forth or in and out when you're sliding in your jag. Put the jag on the end of your bore guide, or your bore guide, not your bore guide, cleaning rod, and you're gonna need a couple. I think these are 2x2 patches. More than a couple. You're gonna need about a dozen of them. So take that off, push it on the end of your jag, like so. Get it in here. And the very first patch that I run through, I'm gonna put a little rem oil on it. This is kind of like a lubricating patch. Put a little bit of that on there through the sight port. Push it in until you feel just a little resistance right before you get to that, right where the chamber meets the bore, and let it kind of straighten itself out, and then you can push in a little bit harder. Okay, straight through all the way out the end, and that's what you should have. Yeah, it's definitely dirty. Take that patch off, pull it back through, and because I'm cheap, I just flip that patch the other way and run it through one more time. Okay, pretty simple. Pull that back out. Oh, come on. Pull it straight back out. I'm gonna do that 2 more times, and then after that, you should start getting a cleaner bore. Oops, one patch here. I'll do another wet patch, as I was saying. A couple more swipes through there. I like to do a couple wet patches just to try to grab onto any loose material, push it through. All right, we're starting to get a little cleaner already. So. More. Feels like we're drying out. Now, it depends on how dirty your bore is. That'll determine how many patches and how many times you need to keep going through and cleaning it. But if it's really dirty, and let's say after 6 patches, you're still getting carbon or residue on there, I would maybe take your brush, do one pass with an oiled patch, go through one pass with your brush, make sure your brush comes out the end of the muzzle, unscrew it at the end of the muzzle, pull your cleaning rod back through, and then screw on your brush one more time and push it through again, then come back through with 4, 5, 6 wet patches and a couple dry patches. But as you can see, this one is pretty much clean now. So we'll take a look down there, make sure there's no, it looks pretty clean. Checking the chamber too to make sure that there's no buildup of anything. Sometimes you get a little cotton on the inside there, just make sure there's nothing in there, and that's where your little toolkit will come into play. These little plastic picks, you can get some of that out of the way. So you got your bolt out. Next thing you're gonna want to do is get rem oil on a patch, and I like to rub down the bolt assembly and really get into the face here. Make sure that there's no residue of any sort in there. Give her a good clean and let that sit. So that is basically it. I mean, this is a new gun. It's only been fired a couple times that I'm aware of, and we just want to make sure it's clean, that there's no residue down the bore. It's not going to foul up. You're not going to foul weird, I guess, after our first couple shots. Your first shot after cleaning, you are, it's not going to be very accurate, but that's okay because we're going to bore sight this thing. So we're going to have a couple close range shots, get this thing bore sighted on paper, and by that time we'll have fouled out all of the oil, any other oil that was in there. It should have a nice clean barrel. So when we start taking it out to 100 yards, we can start sighting it in and then do some ammo testing. So, all right, so that's gonna do it. Pretty simple process, simple tools, basic stuff you can pick up at any sporting goods store or online on Amazon. Again, you don't have to go overboard with it. The gun vise is great to have, but it's not a must-have, especially for the deer hunter. If you're just doing this once a year to your deer rifle, not a requirement, but they are very nice to have. It's important. I don't care if it's new to you, brand new, been sitting around in a gun store or whatever it may be. Check that barrel all the time before you go out. We want to make sure that there's no shavings, debris, oil buildup, gunk in that barrel or in that chamber. You just don't want anything catastrophic to happen. So it's kind of a safety measure. It's always a good thing just to double check that. So that's going to be it. Next time I see you guys, we'll be bore sighting this, selecting some ammo, and taking it to the range and see how it prints on paper. So we'll get a couple boxes of factory ammo, and I'm going to do some hand loads. So stick around, like and share this video if you liked it, and until next time, we'll catch you guys later.